Hey, I want to show you. I was eating some chicken wings from last night. I had a party. The first time I had a party in like since I was probably like a kid, probably like 10 years old or no, probably 8, 9, 10. I don't know. But I actually had a real party. My brothers were here, and I had the chicken and the cake and stuff. I still got some of the chicken left. But I actually, my brothers were here and they gave me a gift, and I want to show you this. And this is a gift that I brought back. I realize now that it was done. I did it in Kingston, New York. Let me show it to you. And so, Pete, I was blown away by this. Okay, this is what they gave me. Look at that. It's a robot. It's a robot. It's a very cool robot. But look at the painting. Look at the texture. I don't know if you can see the color in it. And the textures of the color. And some of the line quality of it. You know. I mean, I blew this robot away. This was, I'd have to toot my own horn here. Because this is the first time. This was something I was trying to learn how to do for years in my painting. And this is the actual painting where I got it. I actually got it. And it's a technique by one of my favorite artists, my favorite illustrators. And it's amazing. One of my favorites. I have many favorites, but this one I studied the technique, and I cut a few nice lines on it, and I did it. And this was the actual size. This is the actual size of the painting, which is very different from me because at the time I was doing very huge paintings. I mean, 5 feet, 6 feet. You know, I was gonna get into murals. I had won an award with the Langston Hughes Institute when they had these grants they were giving out for these murals. I think Bill Cooper is the only one that actually did one. We were going to do it on the outside of the Twin Fair building, which was a supermarket store. So they were going to paint that to kind of beautify an area. But I used to paint like large murals. So this was a technique that I had finally got in Kingston, New York, of actually the glazing and layering of paint. And so that's a very difficult thing to do with oil. Forgive my nose, I'm just running a little bit. But it's very difficult to do with oil because it takes so long for it to dry. And so the actual techniques and getting the oil to dry. So I did this by hand on a piece of gessoed illustration board. So you can actually see like the texture of the gesso. You see it right up in there? You can see the texture and the overlays of color. And so this is actually when I finally got it. And Bob Marley was the first painting I did in Kingston. I only lived in Kingston 2 years. I did 3 or 4 of these kind of paintings based on one of my favorite artists, which was Boris Vallejo. And I actually got to meet him at the Forbidden Planet in New York when I finally moved down there. So I was like, you know, it was amazing because I thought there was something stupendous was going to happen. That didn't happen. You know, he just kind of met me. I wish I had this at the time. But I realized that I was working, and the other paintings that I did by him were stolen. I had given them to a friend who was giving an art show, and he would get drunk and he would we would do some really crazy things. But I guess somebody asked him for my artwork, or he was probably crazy enough to say, just, hey, here. So I didn't go to the thing. I didn't feel like going, and he literally took my artwork and gave it away. But I had a copy of this, and this I had a real artist loft. It was amazing. I couldn't believe I lucked up, and because it was one of my dreams. I always wanted a real artist loft. Sorry, my nose is just a mess right now. The kid that was here the other night probably gave me a little cold. But I'm gonna finish the video. But so it was so I lived in this loft, and I was in a loft by myself, and it almost, I mean, like in another town, you know, I didn't really know anybody, and I was going through this bout with alcoholism. And so I had quit my job as a color laser copier person and just said, look, I'm going to quit. And I found that book and I said, I'm going to study on this stuff. And I quit and focused on that. And I stopped drinking for the first time in my life for 6 months. When my birthday came, I said, let me just have a drink. And as soon as I took the drink, this is 6 months, I was doing art and doing good. I actually quit drinking and smoking for 6 months. And then on my birthday, I had a drink of alcohol. I said, well, I'll just have a drink since it's my birthday, right? And immediately, as soon as I had the drink, I said, I can't have a drink without a cigarette, you know? So I literally, that's how I know, like, if you trying to quit some drugs, but you still doing other forms of drug, and which has drug behavior, you will not, you know, they're attached. So it's the behavior that you got to get rid of altogether. So, you know, but there's lots of things in life. And when you're highly extreme, when you're capable of doing extreme things, you know, then you go, you obsess, you take things to the extreme. So, that's a problem. There's all kinds of extremes, like anger can be an extreme. You know, whenever you do anything extreme, you know, where it unbalances yourself. So, so anyway, you got to learn to keep things in balance by not taking things to extremes. And it's not with drugs and dependencies. It's not easy to do. But I quit. When I first quit, because I was always late for my job, and I woke up and I just literally vomited and laid back down, and I just said, I can't do this no more. When I woke up, I just said, no, I'm just gonna quit my job. And it was wonderful job, because I used to be a stock boy in the basement, and the guy who was my little supervisor, he was a gay dude, and he was just, and I guess I had probably offended them because I didn't agree with them, because if you don't agree with them, then you automatically become their enemy to you. So again, a case of an extreme. But God bless me, and I wound up, he said, anybody who can get these color copies right, they got a new color laser copier, the boss, not the supervisor. And so it was like Joseph. It was just like every time I hit the color copier, the colors would come out right. So I went from working in the basement as a stock boy to actually being running my own department and having to dress nice. And so, but because I learned the color copier machine, a lot of people came from all. When I went to New York, I got an art job in an art store first, Pearl Paint, and then when I got fired for taking off of Martin Luther King Day, then eventually I got a job as a color laser copier, and I met this beautiful Filipino black designer. But anyway, that's, you know, how life is, so intertwined. But I must have done this copy at Catskills Art and Supply by Paul Solis Colon in Catskills, in Kingston, New York. They also had a part of Woodstock, so I was hanging in a Woodstock. I saw Burning Spear for the first time. And, you know, I learned to travel a little bit on my own, and just that I could just do things and go out there on my own. I was very young and I had never traveled before. But I must have made this copy, and I'm pretty sure the guy had matte this. But I had, was Nick, and so he must have matte this. And so this is from Kingston, and I had done a lot of work, artwork, because I was getting this technique ready, and I said, you know, I need to change my style and technique. I need it to be fast, and I needed to be small and production oriented. And so even though I do production now, my thing was that then is always change, adapt to the technology. And so even the way I paint it, like we don't paint with berries anymore. Artists don't have to crush flowers to get their pigments. That's a change. So I changed the chemicals in which I use this, and I changed the way I did it. Drawing on illustration board, painting on illustration board, unthought of. But Boris Vallejo is, he raised me on this one, and so he's a great, Frank Frazetta, all that stuff. So I have that, Norman Rockwell, great American illustrators. Muka, there's a lot of them. I saw a girl one day, she had a Muka design on it. And I said, oh, nice, Muka. She had a tattoo. I said, oh, nice, Muka. It was actually nice, and because of the artwork. And I said, oh, and she said, Muka, how would you know that? I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. Anyway, God bless you. So that's that. I just wanted to share. So my brothers gave me this gift, and I must have given it to them in Buffalo here. So it was funny. I got that back, and I got. It was just I had just a great time yesterday, and I just wanted to share this with you. Maybe I'll try to do a scan, but I'm not going to open this up. So I wanted to show you. But I did a number, and I lost a lot of my work. And so this was just the first one. And the other ones got better. And I probably will show you guys some work at Malioga's. I'm going to go down there, and I am going to start painting again. So I am going to follow the routine that I used to do, Langston Hughes and all that stuff. All right, God bless you all. And God bless you.